A new report suggests that the Pittsburgh Steelers and Mike Tomlin, Omar Khan, and other key decision makers in the Steelers building still believe in Russell Wilson as the franchise quarterback of this team. Then we'll also talk about some mid-round quarterback draft prospects that have been linked to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And today was the first day of Senior Bowl practice in Mobile, Alabama. Today I've got my notes and takeaways based on what happened down there in Alabama this afternoon. Before we get into the content today, me and Tom Downey, we are doing a collaborative effort on our NFL Draft channel this year to get you guys original draft content on our NFL Draft channel here at Chat Sports. Make sure you guys click that subscribe button for weekly mock drafts, in-depth prospect analysis, positional rankings, all that great stuff. We got a Cam Ward versus Shadur Sanders video that I'm doing and putting out later this week as well. So if you want extensive NFL Draft content, if you are an NFL Draft nerd like myself, go ahead and click that subscribe button. I'm going to put the link to that channel in the comments and description of today's show. Okay, let's get into the Steelers content today here, where Andrew Fillipponi says that key decision makers in the Steelers building still believe in Russell Wilson as a starting quarterback in the National Football League, and he is still very much in consideration to be brought back as this team's QB1 in 2025. This is what Pony had to tweet out earlier. He says, sources, there are still Russell Wilson believers in the Steelers' pack of key decision makers, some who prefer him over Justin Fields. Will come down to price and what else is out there. But Mr. Unlimited, God, why are you calling him that, is still under consideration to be the Steelers QB1 in 2025. So listen, man, we've discussed it on this channel even over the last week. Take Pony's sources with a grain of salt. He is wrong on these things all the time. This is the guy that said Brandon Ayuk was coming to the Pittsburgh Steelers and even said he is a Pittsburgh Steeler, and then it fell through. He famously said the deal was, quote-unquote, at the goal line, and his sources were wrong on that, okay? But, all right, I think that he's wrong on this one as well. And I think that the Steelers are going to go with Justin Fields as their starting quarterback. I think Arthur Smith would prefer him. I think that he's going to be the less expensive option, which is, I think, what the Steelers are going to prefer. They're not going to want to spend a whole lot of money at this position to save room for other position groups this offseason. Now, for the record, I think that Russ can still be a successful quarterback here in Pittsburgh, giving A, they give him the right surrounding cast, and B, they don't pay him too much, all right? So you take a look at what the Steelers are looking for in their starting quarterback. Russell Wilson still checks a lot of these boxes. Because they're still trying to win a Super Bowl right now, they want an experienced playoff veteran. Russell Wilson has been to the playoffs a bunch of times. He's not afraid of the big moment. Obviously, he's been to 2 Super Bowls as well and won one of them. Scheme fit with Arthur Smith, this is the one box that he doesn't check, all right? And we'll talk about the reasons why in just a second. Then, can he play in the AFC North conditions? Yes, he proved that last year. He played well in a snow game last year. He can play in the AFC North. High-end downfield passer. He was first in the league in EPA per drop back when it came to throwing the ball down the field, 10-plus yards down the field. So he can certainly do that. And someone who protects the ball, he was third in turnover-worthy play percentage last year, and he's like top 10 all-time in interception percentage, all right? So he is somebody that definitely protects the football, and he still checks a lot of the boxes of what the Steelers are looking for in their starting quarterback. And if Pittsburgh can improve their run game, pass protection, and weapons group around Russell Wilson this offseason, I think we can still see Russ be successful here with the Steelers under the right contract, all right? If you can get a legit number one running back, not Najee Harris, to lead the way offensively in the run game, if the offensive line finally develops into the group that Mike Tomlin has been trying to build over the last, seems like, decade at this point and has failed to do, and if they can get him some legitimate weapons outside of George Pickens, I think that Russell Wilson is absolutely somebody that could still have success here in Pittsburgh. Now, Russ cannot carry an NFL offense, all right? This is what we've seen from him the last 3 years, all right? Denver, his 2 years there, and then last year in Pittsburgh towards the end, they asked Russell Wilson to be the superstar, to kind of carry an NFL offense down the stretch. Bad offensive line play, bad run game, bad weapons, honestly, bad play calling from Arthur Smith, and Russ was asked to carry the entire load, and he's not capable of doing that anymore. He's not Danger Russ anymore. He's not Mr. Unlimited. He is Mr. Limited at this point in his career, but, you know, he still does some things very well, protects the football, throws the ball down the field efficiently. He can put together a 3rd and long conversion every once in a while, can put together a game-winning drive every once in a while. He can operate an NFL offense if he is not the main focal point of said offense. All right, if you can get a good run game around him, play action deep shots, not put too many full field progression reads in front of him, he can still be a pretty decent starting quarterback in the National Football League. And yes, win a playoff game here in Pittsburgh as the QB1 of this football team. But Russ's biggest issue, guys, is that because of his limitations. As a playmaker, he's no longer the athlete he used to be, so he can't escape the pocket the way he used to. And his post-snap processing limitations because of his height. He can't see over the middle of the field past his first read. You have to play a very specific style of offense that doesn't fit what Arthur Smith usually likes to run. This is what Russ-Ball looks like. These are the principles, all right? You got to have a high-powered run game, all right? So back in the Seattle days, that was Marshawn Lynch. All right, here in Pittsburgh, it could be Ashton Janty. It could be somebody else that they bring in to be the next year's number one running back. You have to have play action heavy offense, all right, so you can throw those deep shots down the field. Speaking of deep shots, you have to throw the ball down the field consistently. That's what Russell Wilson does well. And then you have to have a lot of quick game to be an extension of the run game as well. If Russell Wilson's going to get the ball out of his hands quickly, he has to have quick game concepts built into the system, and then you have to limit full field progressions, all right? You can't have him go 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 across the field because he's not tall enough to see over the middle of the field. So you can't have those in the offense, at least not too much, because he's not going to consistently hit those full field progressions. And what sucks about that is that Arthur Smith runs a very full field progression style of offense. It's a West Coast system that really does rely on in-breakers over the middle of the field, past the first read for the quarterback. And Russell Wilson doesn't like those concepts because he can't see over the offensive line because of his height. So I think Arthur Smith is going to have a lot of say in who the Steelers bring in as their starting quarterback in 2025. And Russell Wilson doesn't have the strengths of his game to run his style of offense efficiently, all right? So I also think that Pittsburgh can't give Russ too much money. All right, I think that if you give him too much money and you don't have the resources to put the proper weapons around him, the proper O-line, the proper run game, the proper defense, I mean, it's going to be tough to build a Super Bowl caliber football team here in Pittsburgh with him at quarterback. Right now, Pro Football Focus projects a 2-year, $35 million per season contract for Russell Wilson. That's too much, in my opinion, all right? I might be okay with bringing back Russell Wilson next year, but personally, guys, I want it to be on a 1-year contract. I don't want to make any sort of long-term commitment to Russ. I want to be able to move off of him if he doesn't have a good season in 2025. And honestly, I'm not paying him more than around $20 million. Not $20, $20 million right there. And, I think that if you can get him for that price tag on a 1-year contract, sure, you can run with him again, especially if like Matthew Stafford or Geno Smith or some of the other top-end options aren't available to you. I would personally bring back Russell Wilson on a 1-year, $20 million deal. But, if he's asking for $30, $35 million per year in a multi-year contract, I am just not giving him that money. Now, this is kind of funny. Despite the fact that Russell Wilson didn't play his best football towards the end of the season, I think we all agree on that. He did get named to the Pro Bowl as an alternate today with Josh Allen bowing out of the Pro Bowl games after the AFC Championship game. So this is his 10th Super Bowl. There's not a lot of quarterbacks that have gotten double-digit Pro Bowls, not Super Bowls, Pro Bowls, 10 Pro Bowl appearances for Mr. Russell Wilson. So congratulations to him, I guess. So fill in the blank for me down there in the comments section. Russell Wilson is a top blank NFL quarterback right now. Where does Russell Wilson rank? Is he top 15? Is he top 20? Is he not even in the top 32? Let me know what you guys think about Russell Wilson down there in the comments section. This will be the pinned comment on today's show, so YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. When that happens, take advantage of that time by answering today's pinned question. So let's talk about what Jerry Dulac had to say about a potential mid-round quarterback prospect the Steelers could go target, and that is none other than Ohio State quarterback Will Howard. Now, just like Pony, take what Dulac says with a grain of salt here, but this is what he had to say about Will Howard. In the last 3 days, I heard Will Howard's name as an intriguing guy, both as a passer and as a runner, talking about whispers with his Steelers connections. So, like I said, guys, just like Fillipponi, Jerry Dulac's been wrong on a lot of stuff like this. Like famously, Deontay Johnson, 100% chance he's on the roster. A week later, he's traded. All right, a lot of bad reporting on the part of Jerry Dulac as well. But I do think that Will Howard is a mid-round quarterback option that the Steelers could potentially go out and get. He played in the Big Ten, so he did play in a little bit of elements that are similar to the AFC North. He just won a national championship there with the Ohio State Buckeyes, played pretty well in the national championship game against one of, if not the best defense in the country against the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. So I could certainly see Will Howard be an option that the Steelers look at, especially if they keep Justin Fields or even Russell Wilson as their starting quarterback and they can't get the other one to stay. Then another guy that's been linked to the Steelers in recent days and recent weeks as a mid-round quarterback option, Jalen Milroe, got off to a tough start. It's a Senior Bowl week because he's got some issues, all right? And the issues, if you guys can see on the picture here, producer Coop is losing his mind at the baby hands. But look at the hand size, dude. Like, it's a 0.868. That's some of the smallest hands I've ever seen in my life. That's smaller than Kenny Pickett. All right, as I fight back tears here because of this picture. But Jalen Milroe, this is what he had to say also about him being a Ravens fan. Secretly, I'm actually a Ravens fan. I grew up a Ravens fan, so I pull for the Ravens. Not exactly what Steelers fans want to hear if they want him to be the next franchise quarterback of the black and gold. But also today, in the first day of Senior Bowl practice, in my opinion, his accuracy was spotty. It definitely was. He definitely has the best arm talent of anybody at Senior Bowl practices this week, guys. Like, it's not even close between guys like Jackson Dart and Dylan Gabriel and all these other guys that are there in Mobile this week. Milroe is just unbelievable with his arm talent, but like the accuracy was off. He threw an interception in the one-on-one drills today. It's just one day of practice. He's still developing chemistry with the guys on his team there in Mobile, so hopefully he can play better as the week goes on and in the game itself, but today wasn't his best day of practice, in my opinion. Speaking of the Senior Bowl, coming up next, my Senior Bowl Day 1 notes and takeaways that Steelers fans should be aware of, but before I get into those, let's have a word from our sponsor here at Game Time, which is the best place for you to buy tickets for the sports, music, comedy, and theater in your area. Game Time has a new feature on their app called Game Time Picks, which makes getting tickets for live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. All you have to do is select the Game Time Picks button at the top of the screen when you click into an event you want to go see, and Game Time is automatically going to filter through their entire database of tickets to find you the best tickets at the best prices with the best views and everything else, so you and your family can get the best possible deals on any event you guys want to go see. So what I love about using the Game Time app is you get the lowest price guarantee on any ticket to any event, all-in pricing so you don't get slapped with the crazy fee at checkout, and flash deals so you can get even cheaper tickets the closer you wait to game time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time today. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. All right, so now there is a report today that the Steelers did meet with running back out of UCF, R.J. Harvey. And I actually tweeted about Harvey a couple days ago. If you want to see my thoughts on him, you can go check me out on X at Jack_Sperry. But Jonathan Heitrader here reported today that UCF running back R.J. Harvey told me he has met with the Steelers last night. Said he spoke to GM Omar Khan and 3 other scouts about his family life, with head coach Mike Tomlin also in the room with them. And I think that R.J. Harvey, guys, is somebody that you got to keep your eye on as a potential day 2 draft target for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I love his acceleration, and I love his patience, being a true bell cow there with the UCF Golden Knights. And I know this is kind of a stretch, but he kind of reminds me a little bit of Le'Veon Bell with the way that he waits for that opening, and then he can just absolutely be a burner through that line once it opens up. I mean, the vision is incredible as well. The big playability is there. If the Steelers are looking for somebody on day 2 that could potentially be a day 1 hit in the National Football League as a potential number 1 running back alongside Jaylen Warren, I think that this is somebody you got to keep your eye on. He is a little bit undersized, but he's got really thick legs, and he's somebody that is tough to tackle because he is a little bit shorter. So he combines the leg drive, he combines the acceleration, the patience that you look for, and the vision, all traits that I'm looking for as a potential number 1 running back with the Pittsburgh Steelers moving forward. Also, another note from Senior Bowl today is that Mike Tomlin was very focused on the defensive tackles today, all right? Like, there's a lot of attention from Mike Tomlin hanging around the defensive tackles, and I certainly feel like Pittsburgh's probably going to take an interior defensive lineman at some point in the NFL draft. The question is, how early, and then what position do they envision that player playing? So Tomlin took a very big interest in Ole Miss defensive tackle Walter Nolan, who is an absolute athletic freak. And he's not the biggest guy in the world. I would rather the Steelers get a true nose tackle so they can move Keanu Benton to the 5 technique. But Walter Nolan, if they end up drafting him, he'd probably end up being Cam Hayward's replacement at the 3 technique. And you'd probably fill in at the 5 technique in the meantime. And if they do take Nolan in round 1, I would guess Keanu Benton stays put at nose tackle. But, I mean, there's no doubt about it, man. Nolan is a very, very impressive prospect, man. 36 on the PFF big board right now. He's currently ranked 5th among defensive tackles, and he had the 8th highest PFF grade among defensive tackles in the country last year at 88.9. Got super powerful hands, and he's a very explosive athlete at his size, all right? So if you're looking for somebody that could potentially be a very disruptive pass rusher from the interior to pair with Keanu Benton for the future and replace Cam Hayward whenever he eventually hangs up his cleats, I think Walter Nolan is somebody to keep your eye on. But personally, guys, the guy that's catching my eye right now is Deon Walker, the big nose tackle out of Kentucky. He is 6'6", over 340 pounds. And this is the guy that I think I would rather get because you don't have to spend as high of a draft pick. I think you'd probably have to spend a first-round draft pick on Nolan, whereas with Walker, I think you could probably get him in round 2. And I think that, this guy would allow you to move Keanu Benton to the 5 technique because you can just plug in 6'6", 344 pounds in the middle of the Steelers' defensive line, and he can be that true run defender. Now, I will say pad level is an issue on his film, which is why he's not ranked as a first-round type of prospect. He's currently ranked 74th on the Pro Football Focus big board, but I would probably rather go with a guy like Deon Walker because I think that he is definitely a Mike Tomlin type of guy. And what I mean by that is that he still needs a little bit of coaching, but there's no doubt he has the physical pedigree to be a truly unstoppable force from the nose tackle position if he develops. I mean, Tomlin is famous for saying, we don't run away from coaching. All right, he is somebody that's very famously said, we rely on pedigree here. All right, we look at somebody's physical skill set, and then we say, all right, like how far away is he from being able to start in the National Football League? I think Walker, if he can get that pad level issue figured out, and I think Mike Tomlin probably would think he could fix that issue in his game, then this is somebody that's super physically imposing. During the bag drill today, he literally pushed over a coach. This guy is so freaking powerful. And I just imagine what this interior of the defensive line could look like with Deon Walker as the nose tackle at some point in the 2025 season. You got Cam Hayward coming off an all-pro season. You got Deon Walker, 344-pound beast in the middle of your defense. And you got Keanu Benton in a role that's more suited to his skill set as somebody that can disrupt, that can get in the backfield, create quick pressures, blow up run plays up the middle. I absolutely would love this alignment from the Pittsburgh Steelers, so that's why I would rather get Deon Walker in round 2 than Walter Nolan in round 1. Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. Who you taking? Type WN for Walter Nolan or type DW for Deon Walker. You guys know my answer. Now give me yours down there in the comments. Make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Really do appreciate all of your guys' support. We got more Steelers content coming your way throughout the week. And, of course, Coop and I will be back live on Thursday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So make sure you click that subscribe button. And until tomorrow, guys, here we go, Steelers.